So today we have a very important guest from Germany, German Ambassador, His Excellency Mr. Frank Meyke, and Germany is one of the very important major power in foreign policy study, because Germany is a leading academically, especially in science and technology. She is the most advanced country until Second World War. Even after Second World War, she has been doing very well. And as you know that Europe has been undergoing the Eurozone economic crisis. Even amid the serious economic crisis, Germany, West Germany, East and West Germany after unification, she has been doing very well and keeping our economic strength quite intact. So that we have invited His Excellency how Germany kept her economic strength intact even amid the very worst still condition in Europe. And moreover, how Germany has been contributing the socio-economic development of this country. So that will be the great benefit for our students here and then all the participants today. So thank you very much, His Excellency and our Dean and all other distinguished participants today.
Honorable Dean Professor Dr. Shintamani Pukarel, Coordinator MIRD Program Dr. Katka KC, Honorable Member of Parliament, faculties, distinguished guests, students, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad and feel privileged to be invited to speak to you on my country, Germany, and its foreign policy. Thank you for this opportunity for discussion and exchange of views. I'm looking forward to this. After an introductory overview on some important prerequisites for our foreign policy, and secondly a section on key aspects and key fields of operation of German foreign policy, I will be concluding my address today with an outline of German-Nepal relations regarding depicting the implementation of German foreign policy as a case study regarding our bilateral relations with Nepal. In order to assess nature, scope, and the foundation of German foreign policy, it is useful to recall some key aspects of Germany's role in the world and the major reasons behind Germany's success and its strong economic and politically effective role internationally. Let us first have a look at Germany's international position. Germany today is the happiest Germany ever. A stable democracy, economically successful, surrounded by friends, and an important member state of the European Union. Furthermore, Germany is the largest economy of the European Union and the fourth largest in the world. With the largest gross domestic product and the biggest population in the European Union, Germany is the most important market in Europe. In the international arena, German companies and their products made in Germany have an excellent reputation. Made in Germany is known as a seal of quality the world over. Accordingly, the volume of German exports puts the country in second place worldwide. Germany is number 10 among the most attractive investment targets worldwide. And in terms of competitiveness, Germany is number 7 in the world. We Germans like to see our country as land of ideas. In terms of patent registrations, Germany is the leading European nation. According to patent registrations worldwide, Germany, together with Japan and the United States of America, is one of the 3 most innovative countries in the world. What are the reasons behind Germany's success? Let me mention a few important ingredients of our recipe. Number 1, since the founding of the Federal Republic of Germany in 1949, the country's economic policy has been hinged on the notion of the social market economy. This concept is an attempt to find a happy medium between a pure market economy and socialism. The fundamental idea is based on the principle of the freedom of a market economy, supplemented by socio-political methods for keeping a due balance in society. On the one hand, the system is designed to enable market forces in principle to develop freely. On the other, the state guarantees a welfare network that protects its citizens from risks. Secondly, Dr. Katja, you referred to it, education, science and research. They are highly developed in Germany and make the country a popular destination for foreign students. There are some 240,000 foreign students enrolled at German universities. Among them, there are also a few hundred young Nepalis, mainly enrolled in business administration, management studies and civil engineering. Germany is thus the third most attractive country for foreign students worldwide, only behind the United States of America and the UK. For numerous degree courses at German universities, the language of instruction is English. However, learning German makes good sense for everyone, particularly students for whom speaking German is a competitive advantage in their future professional careers. Germany's two-track vocational training system is quite special international speak. On completing school, approximately half of the young people in Germany move on to learn one of the 350 officially recognized vocations included in the two-track system, combining practical parts of the course at a company and specialist theoretical instruction in a vocational school. Unemployment of young people is a serious problem in several European countries. In Germany, however, the situation is relatively positive, with a youth unemployment rate of only 8%, one-third of the European average. Germany is the only country in which youth unemployment has been decreasing since 2000. This success is partly due to our two-track vocational training system. The skilled labor force and the great significance of small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, in Germany are important factors contributing to the success of the German economy. Small and medium-sized enterprises, alongside international companies, are the nucleus of the German economy, with about 70% of all those in employment working as SMEs, in small and medium-scale enterprises. Three very important factors contributing to our political stability and economic success are, number one, a long-standing tradition of successful local governance, with democratic local elections on community level and on state level. Secondly, a constructive relationship between employers' associations and trade unions, keeping strikes to a minimum. And thirdly, the prohibition of bans by regulations which are on one hand safeguarding the right to free and peaceful assembly and demonstrations, and on the other hand are prohibiting unilaterally announced political demonstrations which are infringing on rights of non-participating citizens and are harming economic life, especially mobility, transport and communications. Key instruments safeguarding democracy and concretely combating corruption at top level are the regulations of Article 21 of the German Constitution referring to political parties, and of the corresponding German law on political parties. These regulations are stipulating that parties must have intra-party democracy and must provide transparency and accountability regarding their finances. Let me now provide an overview on the foreign policy of Germany, outlining its primary goal, its fundamentals, and its key fields of operation, that is, European integration, transatlantic partnership, international peace operations, and development policy. The primary goal of German foreign policy is to preserve peace and security in the world. The expanded concept of security covers not only questions of conflict prevention, defense, disarmament and arms controls, but also economic, ecological and social issues, as well as human rights. Foreign, cultural and education policy forms an integral part of German foreign policy. When the post-war order collapsed, Germany faced a new situation regarding domestic and foreign policy. Here, the country benefited from the dynamism that culminated in the disbanding of the Soviet Union at the end of 1991. For this led in 1990 to the unification of East and West Germany, and thus, for the first time in almost 50 years, to complete sovereignty. The fact that this realignment was successful and was due, not least of all, to the manner in which German foreign policy had developed and established itself since the founding of the Federal Republic of Germany in 1949. the reaching of a broad-based consensus with regard to foreign policy and certain areas of continuity was, and indeed still is, one of the most salient characteristics of its political culture. These include, since the era of Konrad Adenauer, the first Federal Chancellor, the transatlantic partnership and European integration, and the desire for good neighborly relations, primarily with France, which German foreign policy was striving for in the early 1950s, just as much as the difficult process of reconciliation with Israel, which it began early on. As of the end of the 1960s, in particular since Willy Brandt's chancellorship, it was 1969 to 1974, these fundamentals of German foreign policy have been supplemented and advanced by a policy of reconciliation with Poland and the other countries of East and Eastern Central Europe. German foreign policy comes under the sign of continuity and reliability. It is shaped by cooperation and a spirit of partnership and a wish to balance interests. The key parameters of German foreign policy can be described by the twin lodestars of never again and never alone. Never again is to be seen against the background of German history and understood as a rejection of authoritarian and expansion-oriented politics, as well as profound skepticism against the means of military power. Never alone signifies Germany's firm embedding in the community of Western democracies, Germany's integration into Europe that is growing ever more closely together, and its firm roots in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. These comprise the cornerstones of its orientation in foreign policy. Germany is involved in many ways in organizations for multilateral cooperation. Let me come to European integration. European integration is obviously the major keystone of German foreign policy. The participation of the Federal Republic of Germany in a united Europe is anchored in our constitution, the basic law. With the accession of Bulgaria and Romania in 2007 and of Croatia in 2013, the European Union has grown to 28 member states. Candidate countries are Iceland, Montenegro, Serbia, Turkey, and the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. Potential candidate countries are Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Kosovo. Our Europe has proved its worth in the economic crisis. This solidarity of the European Union proves its worth presently in the Ukraine crisis too. Let me come to the transatlantic partnership, which forms the basis of German and European security. A close and trusting relationship to the United States continues to be of outstanding importance for Germany's security. However, the transatlantic partnership is far more than a purely political and military alliance. The close links to the United States have a strong history, rest on shared cultural roots, and are an expression of profound community of values and interests. Germany is engaged in finding solutions to international conflicts and promoting civil societies in several locations throughout the world. Both as a member of multilateral forces and at the national level, Germany makes considerable efforts to improve the arsenal of crisis prevention instruments by providing trained and equipped armed forces for international peace operations. These include United Nations peacekeeping missions, as well as projects that assist the process of democratization and the posting of civil personnel. In 2002, the Federal Foreign Office in Berlin founded the Center for International Peace Operations with the aim of specifically preparing civilian helpers for international operations organized by the United Nations, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE, and the European Union. A swift response by Germany to crises and conflicts in the form of armed operations on the part of the German armed forces occurs only in cooperation with allies and partners as part of a NATO, EU, or UN operation. There are currently about 4,500 German troops on 13 active international missions. The spectrum ranges from the fight against terrorism as part of Operation Active Endeavour in the Mediterranean, the EU-led anti-piracy mission Atalanta, and peacekeeping missions in Kosovo, to the stabilizing mission in Afghanistan, ISAF. Furthermore, German armed forces are involved in UN missions in South Sudan, Darfur, Lebanon, and Mali, as well as in training missions in Mali and Somalia, or escorting the ship Cape Ray during the destruction of Syrian chemical weapons. Since the first deployment of German forces, it was in Cambodia, 1992, approximately 250,000 German troops have been involved in the preservation of peace and stability in crisis regions. 103 of them died. German development policy. That's a constituent part of a global structural and peace policy, and this endeavors to improve living conditions in partner countries. The German government, in close collaboration with the international community, is committed to fighting poverty, to peace and democracy, to globalization that is fair, and to preserving the environment and natural resources. The strengthening of good government, self-responsibility, and powers of self-help in the partner countries are basic elements. Furthermore, education, health, rural development, the protection of the climate, environment and resources, as well as economic cooperation, are key sectors. Germany cooperates with some 60 partner countries. Africa is a focal region, it's closest to us, Europe, geographically, but Germany also maintains close bilateral working ties with partner countries in Asia, Southeast Europe, and Latin America. In 2013, Germany's development aid totaled $14.059 billion US, or 0.38% of gross national income. This is an increase of 8.66% as compared to $12.939 billion US in 2012. In addition, Germany supports projects initiated by civil society organizations. The respect and strengthening of human rights worldwide are a cornerstone of German government policy. Together with its EU partners, Germany is committed to protecting and continually advancing human rights standards throughout the world. This occurs in close collaboration with the institutions of the United Nations, in particular the Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights in Geneva. German human rights policy adheres to a concrete commitment: protecting people from the violation of their rights and basic freedoms, and creating viable conditions so that suppression, arbitrariness, and exploitation no longer have a chance. A claim that is derived from the basic law, our Constitution. Article 1 names human rights as the basis of every community of peace and of justice in the world. Let me now come to the concluding section, our German-Nepal relations. Today we are looking back to more than half a century of very good, intensive and comprehensive German-Nepal relations based on mutual trust, respect and friendship. German-Nepal diplomatic relations date back to 1958. Our German-Nepal Development Cooperation was initiated in 1961. These days, the German government, the German parliament, and everyone in Germany taking interest in Nepal-German relations focus their hopes and wishes for Nepal on the holding of the long overdue local elections at the earliest and the promulgation of a democratic constitution by the 22nd of January 2015 as matters of utmost priority, and thus decisively strengthening democratic stability. Germany and the whole European Union see a draft of the constitution by October and local elections in November 2014 as the best possible scenario for Nepal's democratic stability and as the best possible positive political signal for foreign investment. Furthermore, fields of particular interest in Germany regarding German-Nepal relations have always been and continue to be German-Nepal development cooperation and the situation of human rights in Nepal. Nepal is an important partner country of German development cooperation worldwide. For more than half a century, since the initiation of German development cooperation with Nepal in 1961, Germany has been contributing to the improvement of the livelihood of the Nepalese people and has been supporting the political, economic, environmental and social development of the country. I hope that our 10-page overview that we have brought with us on German-Nepal cooperation will find your interest. German development cooperation with Nepal is focusing on the sectors health, local governance and renewable energy and energy efficiency, as well as on the support for the peace process and on sustainable economy and trade promotion. Total German development assistance from Nepal since the beginning of Nepal-German development cooperation in 1961 amounts to about 1.1 billion euro. All financial commitments of German development cooperation have been and continue to be non-repayable grants. For new programs in 2012-2013, an additional amount of 42.2 million euro has been committed in December 2012. This makes Germany one of the top 5 bilateral donors in the country. German-Nepal government consultations took place in Kathmandu in April this year. These consultations will be followed by bilateral government negotiations in November-December 2014 in order to finalize the commitments for the period 2014-2015. We'll maintain our level of bilateral development cooperation. Starting from 2015, both governments agreed that German development cooperation will sharpen its thematic focus and concentrate bilateral cooperation on economic development and trade, renewable energy and energy efficiency, and health, these 3 sectors. The geographical focus of our cooperation is the mid and far west regions. Germany is contributing approximately 20% of all development cooperation funds provided by the European Union. Besides our successful intergovernmental cooperation, the activities of German private aid organizations are considerable. There are more than 130 German institutions and private initiatives active in Nepal, which are, for instance, building schools and supporting hospitals. I'm not aware of any other country with which we have that close and comprehensive relations on the private level. Germans, as many other Europeans, like Nepal for its beautiful scenery and nature, its friendly people, and its impressive cultural heritage. This affinity of Germans to Nepal translates into numerous development activities of private German organizations, clubs, and individuals, more so in the case of Nepal than in the case of any other country that I'm aware of. I mentioned it. This is a unique and valuable partnership which is beneficial regarding development cooperation and personal human relations. However, there is reason for concern regarding the future of private and civil society engagement in Nepal. The government of Nepal is currently discussing with development partners a draft of a new development cooperation policy. This draft could be problematical for development activities of civil society in Nepal. While we support the government's initiative to enhance transparency and accountability of civil society activities in Nepal, we feel that the rules and provisions proposed in the draft policy, for instance those relating to funding, registration and prior approval of activities, might severely hamper civil society engagement. From our perspective, it is essential to strike the right balance between transparency and accountability on the one hand, and allowing civil society the degree of flexibility and space needed for its operations. Besides development cooperation, the situation of human rights is of key interest to Germany and Germans in the context of German-Nepal relations. Human rights are the basis of peace and justice in the country and internationally. Human rights violations endanger or destroy stability and security, dent countries' economic prosperity, and harm their economic and social development. Whereas protection and promotion of human rights and strengthening of democracy release human resources, creativity, and energy, and serve the interests of stability, peace, and development. Human rights defenders are all important in this context and must be supported by the democratic forces of their country. The German government supports the work of human rights defenders worldwide and seeks to promote better protection for them personally and comprehensive recognition of their important work as major contributions to societal development in their countries. In Nepal, the completion of the peace process with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission Act, which is in line with international law, will be an important task for Parliament and government. Strengthening of democracy and human rights, in particular holding free and fair local elections and promulgating a new democratic constitution, will promote decisively political stability, democratic stability in Nepal, and will furthermore open new perspectives for significant enhancement of the relations of Nepal with Germany and the whole European Union in the political, economic and cultural fields. A few remarks on German-Nepal economic relations. German-Nepal trade and foreign direct investment from Germany and the European Union in Nepal are presently modest. There is considerable potential for expansion. Foreign direct investment is indispensable for achieving a significant reduction of poverty. Regrettably, no larger direct investments from the German private sector were registered in Nepal in recent years. This is due to the challenging investment climate with its legal insecurities, unpredictable bureaucratic decisions, frequent labor conflicts. I admit this is more the situation before the elections, but people are wary and wait and see. And intransparent banking sector. From an economic point of view, any government, and this present government, should accord priority to the improvement of Nepal's investment climate, avoiding protectionist steps, and particularly to the advancement of the democratic process. Foreign direct investment from Germany will certainly increase once free and fair local elections, a new democratic inclusive constitution, and thus political democratic stability have been achieved. At present, the 80 German investment projects registered in Nepal are only amounting to a total of 8 billion euro. They are, however, creating welcome employment, and more such projects should be encouraged. In this context, it is important to note, and I now mention the one concrete name in my speech, that Mrs. Christine Falkenberg, a German business expert, financially supported by the German government, is working with Nepal German Chamber of Commerce and Industry. She is supporting NGCCI in providing information on business opportunities in Nepal and Germany to German and Nepal companies and businessmen. Such a central point is all important when you want to enhance our relations in the economic field. Together with NGCCI, the German embassy is informing potential investors about business opportunities and about problems doing business in Nepal, and has issued corresponding information booklet. I hope that after successful local elections, the sections of opportunities and potentials in our guidelines and our information booklet will take up far more space than those dwelling on risks and challenges. Germany is also the lead donor for trade issues among the donor community, and we aim at mobilizing all development partners present in Nepal to align their support with the Nepal Trade Integration Strategy and related government programs. This is obviously a challenging but worthwhile endeavor. A reliable element in our bilateral economic relations is the constant flow of tourists from Germany to Nepal. In 2012, more than 30,000 German tourists have been visiting Nepal, which was a significant increase as compared to the previous year. Again, if political stability could be achieved and the touristic infrastructure continues to improve, the potential of tourism as a source of income for Nepal could be realized to a much larger degree than it is the case so far. A special section is worth to discuss German-Nepal cultural relations. There are two aspects that are unique in our bilateral relations and worth particularly focusing on. One is the private initiatives, which is just unusual between two countries. I mentioned that. Second is German-Nepal relations regarding preservation of cultural heritage of Nepal. The close affinity between Germans and Nepalis and the cordial and long-lasting relations between our two countries impressively manifest themselves in the field of cultural cooperation, particularly in the long-standing strong German support for the preservation of the rich cultural heritage of Nepal. German support for the preservation of the cultural heritage of Nepal began in the 1960s. The best known and most impressive German contribution was the Bhaktapur development project from 1974 to 1986, which involved the restoration of about 180 historical buildings and led to the revival of traditional crafts and skills such as wood carving. From the over 20 projects in Nepal so far, I'd also like to mention the Nepal-German manuscript preservation project that preserved, microfilmed, and later catalogued 180,000 Nepalese manuscripts. More recently, since 2008, at another UNESCO World Heritage Site in the Kathmandu Valley, the Patan Royal Palace Complex, Germany supported the restoration of the Tushahiti and the Bandakal Reservoir, exquisite examples of 17th century water architecture, followed in 2012 by the restoration of the Bolshoi Golden Doric Ensemble. Last year, we financed the restoration of the south wing of the Sundari choke, in which the beautiful Tushahidi is located. Further funding of the yet-to-be-restored east wing of Sundari choke is being considered. At the same time, we have also been supporting the restoration of a significant Buddhist cave temple in Upper Mustang, possibly the oldest temple of its kind, dating back to the 11th and 12th century and bearing testimony to the linkages of Mustang to the Silk Road. There is no shortage of new project ideas in this field for years to come. Germany is ready to continue its leading role in the field of preservation of the cultural heritage of Nepal. Allow me to draw your attention to another significant and promising development in our cultural relations, the growing interest in the learning of the German language here in Nepal. German language courses have been held at Bishwa Basha campus of Tribhuvan University since 1961. Furthermore, there have for decades been courses of the Goethe Institute and its local successor, the Goethe Zentrum Kathmandu. At Tribhuvan University and at Goethe Zentrum Kathmandu, nearly 1,700 Nepalis were enrolled in German language classes last year. Most of them young people, 70 to 24 years of age. Many of these students are motivated by the excellent study opportunities in Germany or look for a career in tourism here in Nepal. Since 2010, German is also taught in 2 local schools in Kathmandu to 800 students in classes 6 to 9. There's a strong likelihood for the German language to become even more popular given the rapidly increasing interest in your southern neighbor, India. The worldwide project, German in 1,000 schools of the German government, includes a network of local schools in India and aims at 1 million Indian pupils learning German by 2017. I'm confident that this will also contribute to a significant increase of Nepali students learning German. Ladies and gentlemen, in the age of globalization, foreign policy is, more than ever before, the world's domestic policy. States, societies and economic zones are all becoming networked. The end of the East-West conflict opened up new opportunities for German foreign policy, both within Europe and worldwide. Germany has accepted the international responsibility that has evolved for the country in the wake of dramatic changes with regard to world politics, and, together with its European and transatlantic partners, is deeply committed to the causes of democracy, human rights, and the dialogue between cultures. The prime objective of Germany's foreign policy will continue to be maintaining peace and security in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on Germany's foreign policy and German-Nepal relations and for the lively discussion and competent questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. You really